Alright guys, I'm super excited to do this. It took a while to get this video out, but I'm finally doing my mock draft on this channel, and I cannot wait to discuss this with you guys. It's going to be awesome to go through this. So obviously the Dolphins have a few needs, one of them being, I would say, a safety. I don't think Nate Allen is the starter for the 2017 NFL season. I would say a linebacker and defensive end would be I think, in my opinion, the top three, especially how stacked and talented this year's draft is in terms of defense. So let's get right into it. So coming in at the #1 overall pick, obviously the Cleveland Browns, and nobody's surprised about this, Myles Garrett. Obviously he's going to be a very special player for the Cleveland Browns, and if they passed him up or if they traded down, that would be one of the dumbest things that they have done in a very long time. Next is the San Francisco 49ers, and when you look at the 49ers, they brought in Brian Hoyer, they brought in Matt Barkley. They're trying to get Colin Kaepernick back, so they're trying to fill the quarterback hole for I think another year, just to kind of get like a little stopgap basically in time until they can really maybe go after Sam Darnold or somebody like that next year's draft, because I don't think they really believe in it. But I think in this mock draft, I think they do, and I think they reach for a quarterback, and I think they draft Mitch Trubisky with the #2 overall pick. That's a little bit of a reach and a little bit unrealistic. I do understand that, but I feel like they try to go out there and get their franchise guy. They missed out on Kirk Cousins, so I feel like they're going to try to go get one in the draft. The Chicago Bears are next with the 3rd overall pick. And obviously John Fox is down there, so he loves his defense, and that's how he loves building his Super Bowl teams. His defense comes first. So I think he goes after one of probably the best all-around defensive linemen in the draft who can play inside and out, and they run a 3-4, which is what they need. So they need a presence inside and a cornerstone franchise player on that defensive line, and I think they go after Jonathan Allen out of Alabama. Obviously, he can play inside and out. I think that's a good pick for them. Next is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars obviously have a lot of needs here. They have running back problems. They have safety problems. I know they just got Barry Church, but he's going to be a health issue there. So I think they go DB here and pair somebody up and back there in that secondary with Jalen Ramsey, and I think they get the kid out of LSU and Jamal Adams, he's going to be a very good player. Number 5 is the Tennessee Titans. And they have a lot of talented players on that offense, but they don't have a true #1 wide receiver, and I feel like they don't want to let this guy drop or risk the chance of him getting drafted maybe by somebody like the Carolina Panthers, somebody who needs an extra offensive playmaker. So I think they go ahead and take Mike Williams out of Clemson, who obviously I think he's the best receiver after his pro day, who ran like a 4.55, something like that. So I think they go ahead and make sure that they get their guy. With the 6th overall pick is the New York Jets, and this is a tough one for all Dolphins fans because you don't want to draft a good player to the Jets. But obviously they lost their cornerback, and I think they just signed Morris Claiborne. I don't know if that's official yet. And they have Calvin Pryor down back there in the safety position, but I think they go with the best overall player here, who I think is Malik Hooker out of Ohio State. Obviously Marshawn Lattimore's right here, who they could get, which is obviously he's going to be a very good corner. But I think Malik Hooker's a better player, and I think he's more of an impact player. So I think they just get the best value there, and they go with Malik Hooker. All right, so the next is the San Diego Chargers. Now, obviously, they drafted Joey Bosa last season, who became Defensive Rookie of the Year, who I didn't think deserved it. I thought Deion Jones should have won it. But they kind of are missing an inside presence here. They have 2 good edge rushers in Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa, but I feel like they need somebody inside, and I think Solomon Thomas is just staring them right in the face, and I think they have to pull the trigger on Solomon Thomas. He's literally like a Jonathan Allen, a little bit less all there. He's a little bit more of a prospect, but he's way more athletic. So he's going to probably, maybe in the future, be better than a Jonathan Allen, but you don't know for 100% there. Jonathan Allen is a guy who's ready to go right away. So I think they go ahead and take Solomon Thomas with the 7th overall pick and really have one of the scarier front sevens in the AFC. Moving on from that, we got the Carolina Panthers next with the 8th overall pick, and Cam Newton needs help. He needs some help bad, so Jonathan Stewart can't stay healthy, and I think this backfield, especially the offense that they run down there, which is very run heavy, especially on first and second down, obviously, is running back Leonard Fournette, who I think will totally make that offense just go. I think it'll get them back on track from 2 seasons ago. Marshawn Lattimore, no, my bad. The number 9 overall pick. The Cincinnati Bengals really lost a lot. They lost Zach Zeitler. They lost Andre Smith a couple seasons ago. Whitworth's getting up there in age. They have one of the worst offensive lines right now, roster-wise. So it's kind of, they have other needs, but I think you cannot pass up an offensive lineman here, and I think they reached for one because it's just too big of a need. I don't know how to say his name that well. I'm terrible with names, but his name's Ryan Ramczycki. He's the kid out of Wisconsin. I think he had a breakout season last season, so I feel like they reach a little bit to get him. You got Bowles out there out of Utah. I can't remember his name. You got Forrest Lamp you could go with right here. You got Cam Robinson. So you could go with a lot of different things right there, but I think they go with the kid out of Wisconsin. Maybe fits that North kind of, AFC North style a little bit more, playing in the cold weather. Okay, so next is the Buffalo Bills, and they just lost Stephon Gilmore. I feel like they want to beef up that secondary. They're going to lose Nickel Roby-Coleman. They don't have a lot of talent back there, so I think they go after a cornerback, and I think they go ahead and get Marshawn Lattimore, if that's how you say his name. I'm terrible with names. Obviously, he's a super talented kid out of Ohio State. He's going to be a very good player. Okay, so in saying that, we move on to the New Orleans Saints, and they have oh god, his name is escaping me right now. I'm just gonna remember it here in a second. But they obviously have I can't remember his name right now. Not Junior Gillette. I can't remember. But they have a good pass rusher already down there. So Derek Barnett, I guess, is the next best thing for them. They need somebody to chase around Cam Newton. So I feel like that's where they go with that, with the 11th overall pick. And with the 12th overall pick is the Cleveland Browns, and they really need a franchise guy. I am a big believer in Deshaun Watson. He, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in the draft, and I think they go ahead and draft Deshaun Watson there and try just hopefully, because they're trying to get Jimmy, and that's well known around the NFL world. But I feel like they just go ahead and try to get another, find a franchise quarterback they haven't had since Bernie Kosar. So they go ahead and take Deshaun Watson there. Okay, with the 13th overall pick in the Arizona Cardinals, which is interesting because they have a lot of needs. They need a quarterback for the future. And Deshaun Kaiser's here, but I feel like he's not. I think he's a little overhyped. I don't think he's going in the first round. And they need a corner to play next to Patrick Peterson. Obviously, they lost Tony Jefferson. So Jabril Peppers might be someone that they look at. So I think they go with the cornerback, and I think they go Garon Conley, if that's how you say his name, or I can't remember. I can't say anybody's name right, but terrible with names. But the kid another cornerback out of Ohio State, he's going to be a very good player. And moving on from him, dude, Ohio State was stacked last season. Okay, anyway, moving on from that, we go to number 14, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles, and they need a cornerback really bad. I feel like their defensive front seven is stacked already, and they don't really need anything there. They have really good linebackers, so they really need some secondary help, and I feel like they go with Jalen. I'm going to call him Jalen because I'm pretty sure that was his name. The cornerback out of Florida, Jalen Tabor, wherever you say his name, Tabor. He's going to be a good man coverage corner, so I feel like they go ahead and get him. Go ahead and get their corner. Hopefully that can fill that role for them because they really need some crap in secondary help. All right, moving on from the Eagles, we go to the Indianapolis Colts, and I feel like Corey Davis is here, and some people think he's the best wide receiver of the draft out of Western Michigan, and I think they take him. I think the Colts take him. I know they need defensive help really bad. They really need it bad, but they need some offensive help, too. They need a running back. They need a lot of things. The roster is really old. Excuse me. I don't think Philip Dorsett's I think he's been disappointing. And he's too similar to T.Y. Hilton, just small, vertical threat. So I think they go ahead and get Corey Davis to pair up with T.Y. Hilton and give Andrew Luck some help. And I was looking at O.J. Howard for them, but they do have Jack Doyle, so I don't know. So you could go either way on that. You could go defense or offense. It really just depends on what you think the Colts need more. And they definitely need some defense, but I went with Corey Davis for them. Next is the Baltimore Ravens, the 16th overall pick. Brashard Perryman really can't stay healthy. They just lost Steve Smith to retirement, and Joe Flacco loves to check it deep. So I think they go with John Ross, who obviously broke the 40-time record, and that fits what Joe Flacco likes to do, which is throw straight, throw them bombs. So I feel like he fits their offense perfectly down there in Baltimore. And they get, Ozzie Newsome's been drafting receivers, has been kind of sucking at it for a long time, but hopefully they finally find their guy. I hope not, because I'm a Dolphins fan and I hate the crapping Ravens. Okay, so moving on from them, the Washington Redskins with the 17th overall pick, and this is a tough one because they just got Terrell Pryor. They lost a lot of offensive weapons. They drafted Josh Doxson last season, so they have something there. And Kirk Cousins, their offense is was probably going to be a little bit, not a little bit, but a lot worse than it was last season. Just not as good. So I feel like they don't, and their defense was one of their biggest reasons why they couldn't win a lot of games. So I feel like they try to fill that defensive role because I believe in Jay Gruden to be that offensive coach, and I think he can coach them through some less talented players. I think he can raise their ability a little bit. So I think they go with Jabril Peppers to pair with Josh Norman back there in that secondary to kind of try to build that defense. They could go defensive lineman here. I feel like they need some front seven. Somebody inside might be a good pick for them right there, but I think they go with Jabril Peppers out of Michigan. So going with the 18th overall pick, which is the Tennessee Titans, and they need to build the best offense they possibly can. I mean, Marcus Mariota has Delaney Walker down there, but they really need some weapons for Mariota to throw. He has a great backfield with Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray, so it's not like he doesn't have weapons, but I feel like they go after another offensive player, even though they need some defense on that team. I feel like they go after O.J. Howard out of Alabama to really stack up that offense and give them one of the most talented young rosters in the NFL. That would be one heck of a 2 picks for them, getting Mike Williams and O.J. Howard. Marcus Mariota will be fine for many years. They got Rashard Matthews down there, so that offense is looking pretty good. So with the 19th overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they need a running back because obviously Doug Martin can't stay healthy, and I feel like they go after the Florida State kid and Dalvin Cook, who's going to be he's very underrated in this draft, and he fits what today's NFL is more than Leonard Fournette does. So I feel like they get a steal somewhat, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do, and Dalvin Cook, and make Jameis Winston take some pressure off of him, not having to throw it a lot. With the 20th overall pick, the Denver Broncos are staring at, they got Ronald Leary in free agency, but I think they need to add another offensive lineman, so I think they go after Cam Robinson, a kid out of Alabama, obviously. He's going to be a very good player, so I think they go ahead and snag him up. They could go Forrest Lamp, either way, it doesn't matter, but I feel like they go Cam Robinson here. It just sounds like a Denver Bronco. The Lions need some pass rushers, and this is the pick before. Obviously, this is the pick before we pick, and this is where everybody's crossing their fingers because if you've been paying attention, you know who I have in mind for the Miami Dolphins. If you got a good eye, so I think the Lions really need a pass rusher. They fixed their offensive line in free agency, and they really need some pass rushers to run after Aaron Rodgers and chase down an athletic quarterback. So I think they go out there and they get an athletic defensive end, and they get Tack McKinley. I swear, I hope that's how you say his name. And the defensive end out of UCLA. He's probably the most athletic defensive lineman in the draft. Hassan Reddick's pretty good too, so let's not overstate that. But he's probably the fastest. So I feel like they go out and get him to pair up with Ziggy Ansah and really get after the quarterback. Then the Miami Dolphins. Finally, the Miami Dolphins with the 22nd overall pick, and this guy has been compared to Luke Kuechly. He's been compared to Patrick Willis, and he's obviously had some off the field issues, but if he somehow falls to the 22nd overall pick, which is the most unlikely thing to ever happen, there's no way he gets out of the top 15. But if he does, I guess this is the kind of formula if he did. And that is Reuben Foster. Obviously, the Dolphins have a need there. I think they need a linebacker for the future. I think they need at least one more linebacker. We don't know what Koemisi's going to do. We obviously have Lawrence Timmons coming in case he doesn't, in case everybody's worried about, oh, well, why would the Steelers let him go? And The Steelers are usually good at that. Well, I would also bring up Joey Porter, who came to Miami, obviously, and had one heck of a year, just grabbing 17 sacks. So that I don't know. There's exceptions to the rule, and obviously everybody acts like the Steelers are all knowing. But let's just say Lawrence Timmons doesn't work out, which it's highly unlikely. We have somebody who can come in and be a. If people are comparing him to Hall of Fame caliber players like Luke Kuechly, who's Luke Kuechly, if you're compared to Luke Kuechly, if you don't take him in the draft, I don't know what the heck's wrong with you. And to even get to raise it a whole nother level, people are comparing him to somebody of the physical capabilities of a Patrick Willis. So that is insane. Patrick Willis, if you watched Patrick Willis, and if you're watching Luke Kuechly right now, you would know how good those players are and how valuable. Those are Defensive Player of the Year players. That's J.J. Watt caliber stuff right there. So if he somehow fell to us, that would be a miracle. And I don't think it's going to happen, but a lot of people didn't think Larry Tunsil was going to fall in the draft until obviously the lead video came out. And it's amazing what happens, what it does to a player with off-the-field issues. We saw that with Miles Jack, which is a little bit more severe with the knee issues. But yeah, he was going to be a top 10 pick, and then obviously that came out with his knee. So who knows? Maybe Reuben Foster falls a little bit more than everybody thinks. And yeah, so I think if that somehow happened, that would be an obvious one for the Miami Dolphins, and make our front seven one of the best in the NFL. Obviously, we have our defensive line figured out, and we still need a young pass rusher there, which we could get a Hassan Reddick maybe there, or we could get Attack McKinley. Maybe the Lions pass up on him, but in this particular draft, I think if he somehow fell to the Dolphins in this mock draft, which he did, I think we take Reuben Foster. I think that's a no-brainer, and I think if you're a Dolphins fan and Reuben Foster falls to us, oh my God, you can go ahead and start putting on Super Bowl rings, because our team would be insanely talented, and have a bright future, which it already does. This team already has huge. This team has such a bright future. We are one of the best young teams in the NFL. So if we got Reuben Foster, that would make us even better. And that's going to be it, guys. Let me know what you guys think. And I am Skyx1383, and I'll see you guys in the next one.